Welcome back to Software Testing and Beyond. My name is Prashant Hegde. In today's video, let's explore the most common test automation mistakes that you could be doing and how to avoid them. Let's begin.
I don't like it. I avoid.
Organizations aspire to accomplish the trifecta of speed, quality, and cost to remain competitive. But it's easier said than done. Organizations are now relying on test automation to achieve this. Test automation is the biggest enabler of agility and quality. Test automation empowers testers to accelerate releases with high quality and with minimal cost. The additional benefits of test automation make it even more desirable. However, most teams fail to generate an adequate ROI or return on investment on test automation. Too many test automation initiatives fail, and often for obvious reasons. When you start your test automation journey, mistakes are bound to happen, and these mistakes can prove to be expensive. In today's video, you will learn the common test automation mistakes and how to avoid these pitfalls to achieve success with test automation.
Today's video is brought to you by Testsigma. Testsigma is an open source test automation platform that enables modern test development teams to test and release faster. Let's see what Testsigma has to offer.
This video is brought to you by Testsigma.
Introducing Testsigma, a unified cloud-based test automation platform that lets you write, run, and analyze end-to-end automated tests in minutes with no setup necessary. With Testsigma, QA teams, developers, and PMs can build integrated tests for web apps, mobile apps, and APIs maintained by our AI engine. The best part? You need zero coding skills. Testsigma lets you write tests at a lightning-quick speed, using plain English scripts driven by NLP, with step groups enabling reusability for commonly used scenarios. Generate and share custom reports for individual tests, test suites, modules, and much more instantly. Testsigma's intelligent AI automatically fixes tests that break, so you don't have to manually maintain them every time. Our AI also detects all test cases affected by a failed run and creates your regression test plan automatically. Testsigma integrates with all your favorite CI/CD, bug tracking, and collaboration tools, enabling teams to build automated delivery pipelines. Testsigma, revolutionizing test automation for modern teams. Get started now.
Driving automation only through the UI. Today, test automation has become a synonym for UI automation. When we think of UI automation, we think about Selenium. UI automation is the most fancied type of automation by both testers and organizations. Automating the UI greatly helps us to minimize the time required to test an application through the user interface. UI automation is important. However, to find success with test automation, you should know which type of tests should be automated and in what proportion. Focusing only on UI automation is not a good test strategy. For an effective test automation strategy, we need a well-rounded test portfolio consisting of UI, API, and unit tests. The test automation pyramid can act as a guide and help us formulate an effective test automation strategy which ensures both reliability and maintainability. This concept was developed by Mike Kahn and has been described in his book Succeeding with Agile. Let's understand how the test pyramid works. At the base of the pyramid are the unit tests. Unit tests are the least expensive to create and they are fastest to execute. The width of each level represents the number of tests to be created in comparison with other levels. Test automation pyramid preaches that the majority of our automated tests should be at the unit level. In the middle are the API tests that are executed against the service layer. Let's skip API layer for now and let's jump to the top, the GUI level. At the top of the pyramid are the UI tests, which checks the application as a whole at the presentation layer. UI tests simulate tasks a person would typically do via the user interface, which involves clicking on various elements, navigating through different screens, filling forms, and so on. The problem with UI tests is that they are expensive to create and maintain. UI automation often suffers from fragility due to continuous changes in the UI of the application which testers are testing. Furthermore, UI tests are slower to execute compared to API and unit tests. In short, UI tests are expensive to run, they are expensive to write, and are often brittle. As we move up the pyramid, the cost involved in creation and maintenance of the test increases. The test execution time and the fragility also increases. Most importantly, the test coverage keeps increasing as we move up the pyramid. Test automation pyramid preaches that you should push tests down the lowest level possible for a highest return on investment. The little cloud on the top of the pyramid signifies that even with solid test automation at all layers, your product requires crafty exploratory testing. Where many organizations have gone wrong in their test automation initiatives is they have been always ignoring this whole middle layer of service or API automation. Use this test automation pyramid as a guide when designing your test automation strategy. Unrealistic expectations from test automation. Everyone wants to reap the benefits of test automation. Unfortunately, organizations tend to believe that automation can magically solve all their testing problems, which is not true. There are unrealistic expectations regarding what test automation can achieve. This problem has always been there as managers and executives who are not from a testing background quite don't understand it. Testers, on the other hand, fail to communicate, negotiate, and set realistic expectations about what can be expected from test automation. There are unrealistic expectations like expecting 100% automation, expecting the testing team to automate everything, or thinking that test automation can replace testers, expecting test automation to find new bugs, expecting immediate ROI from test automation. There are so many. These are some of the unrealistic expectations that people have from test automation. As a tester, first understand the limitations of test automation. In your test strategy, identify the right areas to automate. Test automation without a goal is meaningless. Identify the goals and try to understand the problems that you are trying to solve by test automation. Establish realistic expectations. Educate your stakeholders and decision makers. Have a clear objective about the problems that test automation should solve. Make sure you and your stakeholders agree upon the desired outcomes from your test automation initiative so that everyone is on the same page. Not measuring the value of test automation. Test automation is a significant investment for organizations. Many testing teams do not have any means to measure the outcome of their automation efforts. Without establishing and tracking the right metrics, you and your organization would be left in the dark and cannot assess if you are getting an acceptable value by investing in test automation. Developing and tracking the right set of metrics becomes a critical step when transitioning to test automation. Today, I will teach you one simple yet effective metric to measure the value of your test automation. This metric is called as time saved. Investing in automation helps teams to reduce the testing time significantly. It enables teams to release at a more accelerated rate and with more confidence. So, does your test automation save your time? If yes, measure how much time. Here is the formula for time saved. Time saved is basically the difference between time required for manual execution and time required for automated execution. Fragility is also taken into consideration in time saved because maintaining and fixing scripts also requires a significant amount of time. Fragility is the measure of time spent on fixing and updating test scripts. Flaky tests do not provide any useful feedback. They only waste time and also reduce your overall confidence on test automation. So, this metric can also help you to track and eliminate flakiness in your tests. Let's take an example. Assume that regression test cases take 20 man hours to execute manually, and the same tests are run in 5 hours using automation. However, it took 2 hours to identify and debug and also fix the fragile tests. In this case, we saved 13 man hours using test automation. Agile is all about shortening feedback loops. So our test automation must run fast and provide quick feedback. Time saved is a simple metric that you can use to justify your automation efforts. Time saved is money saved. Here are some more metrics that you can use to measure the value you derive from test automation. Take a moment to glance through them. There is no perfect metric. One metric might be better than the other. There are many different metrics that you can use. However, you need not have to use them all. Rather, choose the right ones which align best with your business objectives. Not accounting for the maintenance of test automation. Maintenance is inevitable with test automation. No matter how well designed your test automation framework is, you and your team will have to spend time on maintenance of your automated suite. The application that you work on keeps evolving, so you need to make sure that your tests continue to function properly. Development teams keep adding new features or they keep fixing bugs in the system. These changes can have impact on your automated tests. As a result of these changes, your team may need to write new tests or even modify the existing ones. Most testing teams overlook the time, effort, and the cost involved in the maintenance of test automation. When you do not keep your automated suite updated, it may lead to false positives or even flakiness. If no one is looking at the failed tests regularly, the maintenance starts becoming an overhead. Eventually, it reaches a point where no one in the team wants to deal with the failing tests. Lack of maintenance diminishes the value of test automation, and your stakeholders may start losing the confidence on test automation and also on your team. Maintaining your automated tests is a continuous process. Take maintenance into account when starting your test automation initiative. Make sure you have enough time and resources for maintenance. This is crucial to ensure that your efforts don't go waste. Think about maintainability right from the start. Design scripts in such a way that it requires minimal amount of maintenance in the future. Fix broken tests as soon as possible. Do not procrastinate updating your test suite. Remove tests when they are no longer valuable or when they are no longer relevant. Make sure you keep removing the unnecessary tests in regular intervals. Today, AI is being applied everywhere to make things smarter. AI driven test automation is no exception. Powerful test automation tools like Testsigma use AI to identify all the tests that are directly or indirectly impacted by a change. This helps you to speed up the maintenance of your automated tests. Furthermore, Testsigma also tries to autocorrect the impacted tests to some extent. Not choosing the right test automation tool. There are so many test automation tools available in the market today, but which one to choose? Most testers do not follow a structured approach when evaluating an automation tool. Testers often fall prey to the bandwagon effect and pick a tool just because it's widespread and everyone else they know are using it. Choosing the right tool is crucial to succeeding in test automation. Before making a choice, find answers to the following questions. What features does the tool offer? How easy is it to install and run? Does the tool fit into your current testing processes? Does your team have the necessary skills to adopt the tool? If not, what is the learning curve that is involved? How easy is it to use the tool? Can the tool enable every member of your team to automate regardless of their scripting expertise? Do you have the budget for the tool? Can the tool integrate with your existing tools seamlessly? Do you foresee the risk of vendor going out of stock or the risks of tool being retired? If you are thinking of an open source tool, then ask these questions. What is the level of support that you can expect from the open source community? How active is the open source community? Have you checked the open source license? Does the project have a well-written documentation? Is the documentation easily accessible? When was the last stable version released? How frequently are feature requests and enhancements rolled out? How quickly are bug fixes made? When you are going for an open source tool, learn about the team behind the open source software and their plans. Is there a clear roadmap planned for the tool? What features can you expect in future releases? Regardless of open source or proprietary tools, before choosing a tool, understand what competitive edge the tool has. Perform a competitive analysis of all the test automation tools you want to consider. Then execute a proof of concept before choosing an open source tool. Determine if the tool can be a long-term solution for your team. Most importantly, ask yourself, does the automation tool meet the needs of your project? Choose an automation tool that meets all your testing needs and fulfills the requirements of your project. Be clear about the problems you are trying to solve with test automation. Every testing team has its own set of challenges. Choose the right tools to solve your problems on a use case basis. Identify your testing needs and make an informed decision that benefits both you and your organization.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe to Software Testing and Beyond. I will see you soon.